Enjoy that? Also, to our next speaker, I'd not met Richard Tice before 2019 when I first started working alongside him in the Brexit Party. At the end of 2019, an overwhelming number of people felt under a Boris Conservative Party with an overwhelming majority the things that we cared about might be taken care of. And so they got behind the Tories and supported them in their efforts. But a few of us felt that too many times over too many years the Conservative Party had broken promises, let us down, and reinforced that heartfelt belief that you can never trust a Tory. And with that in mind, amidst the laughs and the sniggers, and the many people telling us that we were mad, a small group dedicated ourselves to that insurance policy, to make sure that it was maintained, and to make sure that if the Tories ever broke their promises again, they would be made to pay the price. And that price
is Richard Tice.
Of Richard Tice.
Hey!
With Richard in 2020, early in 2020, talking through how we could make this a viable political alternative. I had no idea at that point just the level of humility, care and commitment that Richard possesses. Qualities that you simply will not find in any establishment politician. It's no secret that yes, he's sunk tremendous amounts of his own resource into the party, but far beyond money, Richard has listened to and supported the people who need and support us. And I'm not talking about finance, I'm talking about driving to Oxford on a Sunday morning at 6:30 to support a candidate who's running in a council by-election, speaking to rooms of a dozen people or so around the country to help get reform off the ground, often getting home in the small hours. And of course, I'm talking about a man who, upon realising that we needed to hire a campaign bus, just went and bought one. And sat on the top of it now, by the way, is Anne Whittaker on the top of Tice Force 1. Hi, Anne! You ran away. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, that Richard knows that this is all about people, and it's a team effort, and he has led from the front. He's led not by telling, but doing. He's led by example. And because Richard has led by example, by spending time out with people, learning what they need and want, and mucking in, that's what we're now starting to see across the country, a team effort. So Richard Tice might not have been the leader that everyone expected, but I am absolutely certain that he was the leader at the time that people needed. And I just want to emphasise this. To end the establishment's feeble attempt to portray a crack in our team, as the Chief Exec, I am in a unique position to tell you categorically that Richard, having held the role of leader admirably for the best part of 4 years, wasn't just happy for Nigel to return as leader, but actively encouraged it. Because, yet again, knowing the values of team, he knew that Nigel could bring qualities to the party that would benefit us and take us to the next phase in our journey. But be in no doubt, never forget, this party would not exist, this opportunity would not be here if it were not for our next speaker. Please welcome an incredibly generous man, an example to us all, my friend, our former leader and now party chairman, Richard Tice.
What a vision, what a sight. Are you having fun?
Yes!
Are you sure? Excellent. It's great to see so many of you here having fun and passion and enthusiasm and conviction. Do you think Keir Starmer could organise this sort of event?
No chance!
Do you think Rishi Sunak could organise this sort of
Hell no!
Only Reform UK can organise such an event. Not only are we having fun here, but I got to tell you, all of you, most of you, many of you, out on the campaign trail, hopefully you're having some fun too. There's an extraordinary thing going on out there. I have to say I'm loving it where I'm campaigning. It's remarkable. We're having a load of fun. Lots of people saying, I'm with you, I'm with you. It's very exciting. People come along and give me hugs. But you must always keep your feet on the ground. And you must never think you've convinced everybody. As I learned the other day, I knock on one door, I get a big hug. And I think, yes, we're going to win. 4 doors down. I knock on the door, and there's a technique to this. You knock on the door and you take a step back. Just so the punch doesn't quite reach you.
Very
The
good.
door opens. The lady looks at me. I look at her. She looks at me again and she shakes her head. Not a chance, and slams the door. It keeps your feet on the ground, but we are having an extraordinary impact on this election. Something's happening out there. There's a whole bunch, there's millions and millions of shy reformers. Do you remember those shy Brexiteers?
Yep.
Now there's millions of shy reformers who on Thursday are going to come out and vote reform.
Yes!
Now, I'm very grateful to Paul for his kind words. He's a brilliant chief exec. I've never known him be quite so nice about it. Thank you, Paul. I just want to say a few words about the journey because it has been pretty remarkable. It was just over 3 years ago that Paul and I looked at each other, a bit like that lady in the door, and we thought, well, what do we do now? And just think about it. We were 0% in the polls. We had a new brand that nobody had heard of, and we had the equivalent of effectively no money in the bank account. I mean, it wasn't a great outlook, to be honest. And Boris was up there in the polls, but we thought, I tell you what, let's buy a bus. It's one of the first investments we made. And here it is today, the bus with Anne Widdecombe on top of it. And that bus is helping campaigning. And then where I'm campaigning, my constituency, we've got a taxi. You may have seen on social media the taxi, it's decked out in our colours with the Union Jack on, and most importantly, it's got a megaphone. And last Monday, Widders was on the megaphone, driving through Boston and Skegness, shouting, vote reform, vote Tice. It was remarkable.
Like the old days.
Everyone laughed at us back then. They said, you're wasting your time. What are you doing? Go back to property. I tell you what, folks. They're not laughing now, are they?
No.
They're absolutely terrified.
But we're
That's
laughing.
The Tories are terrified,
Labour is terrible.
which is why we're getting all the flack. What does it mean if you're taking a load of flack? It means you're over the target. That's the point. So the Tories are terrified, and then there's a bunch of folk in the media who seem to be terrified too.
Traitors.
I know I'm sure we've got some friends out there somewhere.
The trash at the corner.
They may not be Channel 4, and they may not be the BBC.
Wankers.
And maybe the next speaker might say a few words about them. But I actually do want to say, because there are some people in the media who do deserve a huge amount of credit and thanks. Because actually the truth is that without a bit of balance, without the ability and the capacity to talk, we wouldn't be here today. And so I personally want to say a massive thank you to Talk Radio and to GB News.
don't think GB News have got it on the head at all. But
They've done what you should do in a democracy. They've wanted more debate, more discussion. Look at the other options outside the two-party system.
yeah,
And I think actually what they've done is they've done a massive, massive, constructive, positive contribution towards democracy in this country. Now,
yeah.
I do also want to thank Paul and his incredible team, because when we started on this journey, there were literally 5 or 6 of us. And it was extraordinary. And we did think that maybe we were barking up the wrong tree. And as we got, very few votes in the first few by-elections, it was hard. But here we are today, the biggest political rally in this campaign. We went from 0% to the mid-teens as this election started. And that is remarkable.
Yay!
Why did it happen?
Because Nigel
Why
Farage.
did it happen? I think for one simple reason, and Anne touched on it earlier: common sense. We stand for common sense.
Here, here.
And we also stand for 3 things that are probably the most important 3 things for all of us:
Democracy.
family, community, and country.
Oh. Fair enough. Hey!
And if you look at our key policies, and some of them take courage. And I'll talk about courage in a minute. I mean, Britain is completely broken. Britain needs reform at every level. But look at how the economy needs reform. Surely it's common sense to make work pay, to motivate people of benefits. It's common sense. That's why we have the policy to start income tax at £20,000. Surely it's common sense to have a vision for our healthcare in this country, still free at the point of delivery, before our enemies start attacking us. Common sense that we should have a bold ambition to get to 0 waiting lists. We're the first party that had that ambition. Common sense. Surely it's common sense. No one else wants to talk about this word immigration, but surely it's common sense to have a smart immigration policy.
Yes.
Not a mass immigration policy. It's basic common sense.
Hey!
And of course, the key to immigration is integration. It's absolutely critical. And that's who we stand for. That's what we are. And my goodness me. I also want to pay tribute to Zia. Didn't he speak brilliantly just now?
Yes!
And surely it's common sense on law and order to get our police officers on the streets protecting us rather than sitting behind desks policing tweets, for heaven's sake.
Yes!
By the way, talking of social media, there's some breaking news that Nigel is going to break. Goodness me, you won't believe what's going on. It's common sense also, I think. And again, a lot of people get very upset. But I think it's common sense that there's only 2 sexes and 2 genders. I may be wrong.
Only 2 genders.
I think it's common sense that you adapt to climate change. You don't try and think you can stop the power of the sun, for heaven's sake. And that's why we're the only party that has a common sense approach to this issue. And I have to tell you that finally, we're the only party that has the courage to say net zero, frankly, is not the answer.
Yes! Take out the trash.
Let's use technology, but net zero is making us poorer, it's killing our jobs, it's killing our industries, It's killing our economy. It's an absolute piece of madness. Developed in Westminster.
Piece of shit. Hey!
I actually believe it's the greatest act of financial self-harm ever imposed on a nation by the Wallies in Westminster.
Yes!
And there's many other policies of common sense that we stand for. But time is pressing. There's a football match this afternoon. Are we going to win? Yes, come on!
Yes!
But one of the hardest things in life is leadership and courage. We have the courage to talk about these common sense policies. We have the courage and the leadership to take the brickbats. We have the courage to say when something doesn't make sense, when it's wrong. But let me tell you, nobody, I believe, in this country has the courage, the passion, the conviction, the work ethic, and the leadership of the next speaker. Now, Nigel's taken a bit of grief, a bit of abuse over the years, but what he has done is truly remarkable. And that's why, of course, the establishment hates him so much.
Amen.
And sometimes it's hard to tell the truth. Sometimes it's hard against all the pressure to stick at it. But that's what we at Reform do, and that is what Nigel does. And that's why I knew that the right thing that would give us an absolute turbocharged rocket boost at the start of this election campaign was for Nigel to get stuck in. And that, of course, is exactly what's happened.
Hear, hear.
And that's why we've gone from sort of somewhere in the early to mid-teens in the polls. Where are we now? 18, 19, 21 poll had us at 24. Polls at 20, 21, I tell you what, though. The poll that matters is on Thursday. 4 days to go. And what I need to know from all of you is that you're going to work your socks off, because with your help, with your enthusiasm, commitment and energy, we will get millions and millions and millions of people to vote for reform, to vote for change.
Yes!
So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Nigel, all our candidates, the effort, the work that's gone in. But above all, folks, I want to know, are you with us?
Yes!
I can't hear you. Are you with us?
Yes!